Welcome to Contracting Conversations. I'm Leah Arkush. This podcast is found on DAU Media, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. If you like the content, please, at the end of this recording, hit the like button. It really helps us continue to bring you great content. Today, I am talking with Kevin Linden, the DAU Contracting Center Director, and the topic is DAU Contracting Credentials. Welcome, Kevin.
Thanks, Leah. I really appreciate being here. And for those who don't know who I am the Center Director for Contracting and Small Business here within DAU headquarters. And our team, what we do is we develop and maintain our learning assets to include credentials.
You talked about this topic in 2022 when contracting credentials were just on the horizon, and there's a lot that has happened since then. As a refresher, what are credentials?
So credentials are basically a group of learning assets that are bunched together because of similar topics or niche areas that are available to the workforce. They're jointly sponsored by Department of Defense Acquisition and Sustainment Office and also the Research and Engineering R&E offices. So they sponsor our Defense Acquisition Credential Program here at DAU. And so they're basically there to provide the functional area and the knowledge area framework to meet your needs in your day-to-day job to help you both improve what you're doing and also possibly project what you might want to look to do in the future and then help you on the job there in those areas.
Okay, I like that you were talking about that they're groupings of basically courses, right, that we have at DAU. And
Yes.
when they take a collective of those courses, then they're eligible to sign up for this actual credential. So what can students expect when they take these credentials?
So you're right. The students can sign up for the credentials no matter what, even if they haven't taken any asset that's contained within a credential. So again, credentials are it's a group of learning assets, whether it's an online course, a virtual instructor-led course, or some other asset. Maybe it's a video or an article or a book that they might have to read, and they can apply for that credential, but then they would also have to apply and take each individual asset within that credential too. You're not automatically registered within each of those assets. Or you could look at the assets that are in a credential and just say, hey, I want to take this course and this course. And if you like it, then you can apply and you can still get credit for those courses that you've already taken when you apply for the credential. So you don't have to retake those courses again.
Oh, perfect. So they don't have to take them immediately and in any given order. They could decide later on that they want to get the credential.
Right. So if you haven't applied for the credential, you can take any asset contained within that credential. And then, if you further then in the future decide to take the credential, you'll get credit for that. And then once you apply for a credential, you have 1 year to complete that credential. And if you don't do it in 1 year, you get disenrolled, but you will be able to have another chance, another bite at the apple there. You can re-enroll in the credential and still keep the assets that you've completed, and you won't have to retake those assets if you re-enroll in the credential afterwards.
That's great. Okay. So one of the things, Kevin, is could you show us how we actually find these credentials?
Sure can, Leah. There's a couple of different things on the ways on the DAU website to find them. I'm going to show you the first one here is on the DAU website here at dau.edu. If you go to training drop down, you'll see a credential listing here. And it tells you about the credential. As I mentioned, talks about ANS and R&E jointly sponsoring the Defense Acquisition Credential Program, what they're intended to do, which I said before, enhance your skills and enhance your performance in the workplace. And then also in the future, if you want to look to see where else might interest you, you can look at that as well. There's a life cycle here of how long they last. So you have 1 year to once you apply for a credential to complete the credential. Otherwise, you're kicked out, as we spoke before. And then you're certified. And then contracting, and certification can last from anywhere from 3 to 8 years. In the contracting credentials, we've tried to make it to where every credential lasts 5 years once you've completed it. And then you have to do something to renew that credential if you wish to do. If you don't want to renew the credential, it just expires. And then in order to renew a credential, we're not going to make it too tough for you to do. We want to make it something simple. Maybe it's an online asset, or maybe it's watch a webinar of some sort. But that can be done, at the end of the 5th year. And then say you do it, you renew it, and then you get your credential. Also to note, in these credentials, many credentials have exams, a comprehensive exams of the things that you've learned in that credential to test you, right? And that would allow you, once you do that test, not all credentials have a test at the end. Most of them do, and then once you take that test, you will be able to get that credential. But this also shows you how to access the credentials, earning and renewing a credential, which I tried to speak to earlier. The CLP process, you do get to continuous learning points for your credentials, so that goes to your 80 hours every 2 years that you have to hit, and explains how you earn the CLPs. And then if you complete a credential, notice you'll have a bonus CLP points that are provided to you for you to then input into the system to get to help towards your 80 points. And then there's other technical issues, and then additional FAQs. So this is one way to get credential information. There's credential details, requirements, etc. Another way I like to show people is to go back into training on the DAU homepage and go down to the iCatalog. Here you can find a list of courses and, if you notice right here, credentials. And it's sorted the same way that courses are. The C means credential before the nomenclature of ACQ 001. But I'm going to take us to Con, since I'm in the Contracting and Small Business Center. And you can see the list of Con courses, of the Con credentials that we have already. We also are in control of the Small Business Professional credential as well. There's one of those, as well as the Industrial Contract Property Management credential. But I'm going to move to the Con credential so you can see what the credentials are. And if one piques your interest, say it's Business Foundations, that's CCON 2, you'll have a description of the credential, the requirements, the assets that you have to take in order to complete the credential, the expiration period, who's it available to. So this one is only available to the Defense Acquisition Workforce only. How many continuous learning points? If you click this button, it'll bring you to all of our credentials. And then we were looking at CCON 2. So we just got to scroll down, CCON 2, Business Foundational credential. At the end of it, if you complete it all, you'll end up getting 56 total CLPs combined. And that's the courses that automatically go to your account. That's plus anything where you have to manually input into your transcript or into your ATAR system, plus any bonus points, which you would have to manually input into the system. All of that combined gives you your total continuous learning points. But I'm going to go back to we call this a concept card, and it's the same for every credential. The same topics and areas are here. And if there's any notes or any other information, renewal requirements, you can get all of this here. So, and just playing around. And once you look at the credential, if this interests you, you'll hit apply for this credential, and that will take you to the DAU Virtual Campus, CSOD, Cornerstone On Demand, and your credential will pop up, and then you can hit apply there and enroll in that credential. And then again, once you enroll in the credential, you're not automatically enrolled in each of these courses. You then have to find the course and the course offering and apply and register for that course. So that's kind of the process on how to get to the credential, how to apply for it. And if I'm going to click another one, CCON 9. Here on the left-hand side, Advanced Proposal Analysis, you can see the setup is the same description, the target attendees, the requirements of the credential itself, what type of asset that is, virtual instructor-led or online training. You can see this one has a capstone exercise that's separate, So a capstone exercise or a capstone exam, you may see those that terminology within the credential.
Great overview, Kevin. Now, if you click on the ID there of the course, does it take you directly to that course, like Con 7000V?
Yes, it'll take you to, so for Con 7030V, indirect cost analysis, I hit that icon. It takes you to the concept card for the individual course itself. And then the column here on the left-hand side, these are all the courses that DAU has, not necessarily associated with the credential. So, but this, again, the same way as the credential works, the concept card for the courses is the same. Description, objectives, attendees, additional course information, things of that nature. And if you actually want to apply for the course, you can check the schedule if you want, or you can hit apply for this training. That will take you into the DAU virtual campus, Cornerstone On Demand, and then you can request the course and register for that course at that time.
That's a really quick way then, when they're within a credential, to go ahead and go to the individual course and register for it.
Correct.
Okay. Perfect. I think it's fantastic too that they get bonus CLPs, because we know once we get into that 2-year cycle, getting those 80 CLPs sometimes can be a chore. But this is a great way to sort of project what types of skills you might need, like currently or even in the future.
Correct. When I speak to people and when I talk about the credential program, because, in contracting, it's initial readiness for your certification to get your contracting professional certification. It's at the initial readiness level. So it's basically an entry level certification. And then as you develop throughout your career, people ask, well, who are these credentials for? These credentials are for the entire acquisition workforce, right? If you're in contracting, you don't have to take a credential. If something that you're working on, maybe you're doing a software acquisition buy, maybe this foundational software acquisition management credential will suit you, or maybe portions thereof. So you can go in there and look, and maybe you don't want to take all of these assets, but maybe a few of those assets will help you. So you could, test out the credential before applying it. And really, the credentials are for everybody at every different level. So I always recommend, when it comes time to do your annual individual development plan with your supervisors, to get together with them, look at, what am I doing now? Where do you want to go in your career and or in your job, and work with the supervisor to see, hey, what credentials might be most appropriate for you to take. And, this is a place to start. Another place to find this type of information is under the functional area certification standards page at DAU, where we break out in contracting, and we do it for all functional areas here. We break out what assignment type. So what are you doing? Are you doing construction? Are you doing contingency? And there's a recommendation of credentials and or courses that might fit people in those positions. So this is also a good resource to get to. And the way to find this page is from the iCatalog homepage. You go down through the certification development guides, and then, in contracting, we click professional here. And hopefully, sometimes it takes a minute or two for the web page to pop up, but it will eventually pop up. It'll pop up to this page here. There it is. Yep.
Perfect. What a great overview, Kevin. Thank you so much for showing everyone how to sort of navigate the construct that we have out there on the dau.edu website. But I also really like the idea of getting into some of the cross-functional areas, because I think that can really make you a more viable contracting professional and give you a lot of additional information that makes you a better business advisor on the team.
I agree. So we don't want to be stovepiped in our careers, at least on the learning side, right? I might be a contracting professional for my 30-year career, but I can go out and I can learn what are other functional areas doing, depending on what I'm buying as a contracting person, what else is out there on the technical side of what you're buying that you could help learn from to help you in your day-to-day job, depending on what you buy.
Yeah, Kevin, thank you so much for talking to us today. You've brought us up to date on contracting credentials and things that we can do to really become better contracting professionals across our whole career.
Thanks, Lee. I appreciate you having me, and anytime.
That is all the time we have for today. But please, as mentioned at the beginning, if you haven't already done so, subscribe to the Contracting Conversations channel. Like the content, share the content, and spread the word of this channel to your peers and those you supervise or lead. Let us help you answer their questions. We look forward to having future contracting conversations with you.